one image that I hold in my mind was when I lived in California. There was a family in the congregation who had 2 sons, both incredible young men. However, the eldest son had been born with severe autism. And as he reached his teenage years, the parents realized that they could not care for him at home. So through a lot of tough decision-making, they decided to place him in a home where he would have greater supervision and also greater connection. And yet they went and they visited every day or every other day, and they loved to get him out to see new things. And he loved music. So on one day during my internship, I know that there was going to be this huge hymn festival with an incredible organist and director. And they thought, this would be wonderful. Carl loves music. So they went and they got him from the group home in which he was living, and they brought him to this hymn festival. And things were going quite well. And then the leader, the director, the organist, started playing this incredibly rousing piece of music, and Carl got excited. And so he jumped up, and he went right up front. And he stood probably 10 feet from the organist, watching, and just motioning with the music. Now, the mother was having a heart attack, I'm sure, at Carl jumping up and moving that close, and she was quickly on his heels. And as he stopped close to the organ, she stopped another 10 or 15 feet back. And she watched. And a member of that community that was gathered for that hymn festival went up, and instead of going to Carl, went up to the mother and stood next to her and gently put a hand on her shoulder. And you should have seen the tears begin to fall. As all of a sudden, she was able in that moment to not feel alone. And she got to watch as her son absorbed this incredible music, causing harm to no one, just celebrating. And she was able to stand there knowing that she was not alone, that others were there with her in the midst of this hymn festival, and that someone took the time to touch her. A symbol for her and for Carl of that I choose to. I choose to be a hand of healing. I choose to be a hand of welcome into this space and into this community. I choose to recognize that we are in this together. The question posed for us is, what is the option that we choose as we work to follow the faith that we proclaim as Christ? As we work to live faithfully and wonderfully? Are we willing to step in and say, I choose to? I choose to be a hand and a voice of healing. I choose to be a hand that welcomes. A hand that reaches out boldly to pass the peace, to share, that's not going to worry about who has a cold, or who's wronged me, or who got mad at me at the last church meeting. A voice that's going to say, we both belong, because of this one healer who overcomes our brokenness and our hurts. And unfortunately, we live in a culture right now that is severely divided. Words of healing seem to mean so little, and hands offered in support seem to come too little or too late. Whether we talk about mental illness or severe autism, cutting funding, relegating some to less than status. Whether we talk about race and the significant divide here in our cities. Whether we talk about immigration, where tempers flare. Or unfortunately here in this state, where now we're in the midst of a conversation about a constitutional amendment that tears down the lives of some of our citizens. How is it that we as people of faith step in and say, I choose to follow in the ways of Jesus. And I extend my hand, believing that there is a promise for all, and that it supersedes any sort of divide. Are you willing to be that hand? Are you willing to be a voice of healing and of promise? It takes work. And sometimes it means that we don't easily fit in after that. We find that for Jesus it meant fame and infamy, as this one who was supposed to keep things secret goes out and starts talking about, perhaps we might even say gossiping about this Jesus. Do you know what he does? Do you know who he is? Imagine going out and being so excited or so challenged by what you've experienced that you have to tell everyone. And then Jesus has to withdraw. In this case, for good reasons. But he's popular, right? People are seeking him out. Sometimes it's because what we've done challenges the status quo. And we end up on the outside. That doesn't mean there isn't a dialogue. We hear that people flock to Jesus, wanting more, longing, praying, hoping that the miracle might touch their lives. So this day, allow the miracle to wash over you. Wherever you may need hope or healing or renewal. But know that it doesn't stop there. That then you are called